everything, just like that. It should not even make me want to go in there and check nothing else. That's beautiful what they got in there. Exactly how the bed's supposed to be. Pillows, everything exactly how we asked. Come on, guys.
Why is all that important? Why is it important to be in group on time and in group and getting our beds all done and all of that stuff? We're learning responsibility. The lady came yesterday and did a really good thing on responsibility. So, we're learning that for when we get out of here and go out and be responsible. Let me apologize beforehand. Again, my phone is on. May come on. This morning it is. It's not about me. My daughter is in the hospital in Kingwood, having some heart surgery and stuff. She was born. I told you all about her having that defect. She's in the Kingwood Hospital. They had some stuff yesterday, and today they're doing some more stuff. So they may call me, and I may go. So. This morning, we're going to continue to talk about the stuff we've been talking about. What's this week about? What is it? Emotions. We're going to talk a little bit about emotions going forward this morning. Make sure that you fill out your card. Your card. Sign sheet. Yeah, your sign-in sheet. Thank you, sir. And make sure you're on the right one. Yesterday, somebody got on the wrong one. So make sure that you're on the right one. We only have one person that has to sign on the tap sheet over here. There's about 3 at North that sign in on the tap sheet. So make sure you sign in on the right one. Most of us are HHSC. Make sure you have your book. If you didn't bring your book to class, go get it. If you're supposed to have your book in class, that should be something you bring to every class. It's a rule. It's a regulation. It's a thing. So do that. I'm going to be over to North to pick up all the stuff over there. Probably pretty early. When we finished here, I'll run straight over there today. So I do appreciate you guys. Y'all been taking care of that pretty well, and I appreciate it. One of the other things we need to address pretty quickly this morning is that there are a few of us who are starting to have some little issues with the sniffles and stuff like that. There's not a thing you can do about that if you got the sniffles. If you got the sniffles, you got the sniffles, right? Ain't nothing you can do about it. Except take care of yourself. If you feel like you need to go to get a shot in the butt or something like that, let us know, and we'll take care of that. But look, if you do, and we're in pretty close quarters here. So if you have to cough, you do it just like that. Cough into your elbow, and do something to keep that going out. A cough can travel a whole lot farther than you anticipate. Sneezes can come out at up to 300 miles per hour, and they can go out. It's like 500 feet or something. I mean, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it can go a very long way. And so, don't sneeze on other people. Remember, when you go to the potty, there's 2 things I would like for you to do when you go to the potty. One thing I'd really like for you to do is to wash your hands, right? Wash your hands. I went to one of my favorite restaurants the other day, and I'm in there using the restroom. I'm actually completed, and I'm washing my hands, and one of the cooks came in, and he went to the restroom, did his business, and headed out that door. And I'm thinking, that's going to bring a lot of good memories. When I'm eating my seafood, I'm going to be thinking, oh, goodness, I'm hoping he wasn't the one that, I don't care if he cooked it or anything, the grease is gonna, but I don't want him to have put it on a plate or anything like that. So wash your hands. It's not only good etiquette, but it helps to slow the speed of disease spreading. So, make sure you do that. The other thing that I would like for you to do is cut those lights out as you leave the room, both places. One of the biggest things that we have, one of the biggest costs we have are, lights, gas, water, stuff like that. So just turn the lights off. It's not a hard thing. There's an invention that's stuck on the wall, and if you don't know where it is, we'll show you. Just put it to the off thing, and please do that. Cut the lights off in your bathroom. Cut the lights off in your room. I did the walk through this morning, and I was only in one room that didn't have the lights on. So I know we're not paying for it. Well, when you leave out of there, I don't want you to leave group to go do it, but going forward, when you get up in the morning and leave out, I don't understand leaving the lights on. I grew up dirt poor. When I leave a room, look, when I was a kid and I left the room, I blew the lamp out. We actually had those old lamps. Yeah. We still have those in our home. We have a lamp probably in every room in our home. And when the electricity goes out, I go by sometimes and use those things, and in emergencies, they're great. But when it's time to when you go into bed, you blow that thing out. You don't leave it on. So just don't leave it on because, that Miss Arlene, when she's paying the bills, that's one of the biggest bills we pay. So y'all do that. I'm going to be walking through, and I'm going to go in and cut the lights off. Now, when I cut the lights off, I will let you know that, hey, I cut the lights off. Same thing over at North. I'm not going back into the ladies' rooms back over in there, so I'm going to have to trust you ladies to go in there and cut those lights off and stuff. But if I go into a group room or something, those lights are on, I will cut them off, because that's that one little cost. I saw a thing the other day, and I know we're rambling a little bit, but I saw a thing the other day that was talking about energy leeches. And what's that? That's the little bitty things in your home that is taking a little bit. I've got all kind of little batteries and stuff that I'm charging, and it's got that little light on it. I'm wearing my earplug, not earplug, your hearing aids. Thank you. Just stay up there and tell me what I'm saying, okay? Because I need it. I'm wearing my hearing aids today, but there's a little thing that I have at the house that charges them up. And there's always a little light that sits on the top of that thing. And as it's plugged in, that little light stays up there all of the time. And it's using a microscopic amount of electricity. But, if you got 35 of those things, then there's a whole bunch of them there. So, all right. Today is Tuesday. So we're going to be looking at the second part of this emotional health. That's what we're doing, right? Emotional health. Yeah. Is it? 21. What is it? On page 21. It's always on page 21. We always start on page 21. And so this is Emotional Week. We talked yesterday about a little bit of, it's Spiritual Week, isn't it? Yeah, I was on the wrong week. See, and you were supposed to be helping me, but you didn't. So it's Spiritual Week. We were talking a little bit yesterday about us not being familiar, maybe just being a little unwilling to deal with spiritual things in our life. But even if we don't want to deal with them, the fact is that denial does not make it untrue, right? If I can deny it all the time, and it doesn't make it untrue. If I get somebody comes up and cuts my finger off and I'm bleeding to death, I can deny that all day long, but I still bleed to death, right? If I don't eat, at some point I'm going to starve to death. I can deny that that's happening all day long, but I'm still going to starve to death. Right. So if I can deny spirituality and I can deny that it's there and that it's an issue, but it's still there. It still affects me. So the second stage that we are uh, liable to get into now, y'all need to know, and I'm sure you do, that everybody's different, and these things are different for different people. But most people, when they get past that unwilling place, just denial spot, we're going to get into a place that's like confusion. We may just be a little bit confused about things. We believe that some things transcend the physical world. We're saying, okay, I can see how there are some things. If you look on Facebook and all of that stuff, and they show you there's a nebula out there in space that looks like the human eye. It's not an exact replica, but it looks a lot like the human eye, and it's called the cosmic eye. And you look at something like that, and it just makes you feel like, hey, you know what? There must be something that transcends me. There has to be something that's other than me, more powerful than I am, beyond me. So we get to that place, and then sometimes, look, but we have no spiritual grounding. Mama didn't take you to church. Mama didn't lead you into the spiritual aspects of nature. Mama or dad didn't do any of those things. So you're just kind of at a place where you don't have any grounding in that at all, or a belief system that has any kind of spirituality in it at all. A lot of us, I had a guy tell me one time, he said, yes, I absolutely believe in God. Y'all excuse me, I'm all choked up. I said, well, that's great. He said, yeah, I believe in God and I'm my own God. I said, okay. That was his belief system. Oh, okay. So, good luck with that. Okay. That's your own business, right? Okay. So good luck with that. But, we either have a grounding, we have a belief system that's going to help us gain further understanding of spiritual health. We're not going to we don't have a place where we're going to get to that. One of the things that messes with our spirituality a whole lot is our addiction. We can see that we have failed in our addiction. We can see that our lives has become what? What does it tell us in the big book? Unmanageable. My life, I will tell you, in the midst of my addiction, my life was unmanageable. Did I go to church when I was when I was in the midst of my addiction? No. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I went to church, man. I was, I got all spiritual feeling and all of that kind of stuff. So I went to church, and one of the ladies there showed me where the door was. I was drunker than a skunk, but I was trying to praise God, and so she got me some revelation. You shouldn't be here. Y'all know I'm a pastor. If you want to come to our church drunk, come on. We'll let you come. We want you to sit in the back, and we don't want you to start anything. Just sit somewhere and be quiet. But so what's this guy about up here?
Drinking drugs.
Yeah, he may have an issue, right?
Got a big issue.
He looks like he has a pretty good sized issue. Yeah, these are all of his friends. They're all dead. And this is my drug of choice. That's some old XXX stuff here. When I was in Germany, they had a thing over there called Three Sisters. Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff pretty. So I got involved in some of that. Over here we have some marijuana, world's worst drug. Somebody told me this morning in a meeting that marijuana grows up out of the ground. So therefore it's a good medicine and all of that stuff.
They say it's a good.
Yeah, they say it's good for all that.
Cures a lot of aches and pains on your body.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. That's a good excuse for bad behavior. Marijuana is not used for medical purposes at all. One of the worst things that President Trump has done, he's done some stuff. He's done a lot of stuff this last year. one of the worst thing that I think he's done is to move marijuana on, there's a scale that we go by that goes from 1 to 5 and how bad drugs are. For the last 50 years, marijuana has been a number 1. He moved it to number 3. Bye. He moved it to number 3.
I got a question about it.
Okay, now see, this ain't about marijuana, but we can talk about it. Yeah.
No, it's about marijuana.
All right, go ahead.
My uncle, he got a prescription from the doctor.
Yeah.
So if I don't get what you're saying, it's like you said it's not right?
Yeah.
Made from medicine. So why would the doctor write it?
Yeah. Well, see here, nobody's ever gotten a prescription for smoking weed. That don't happen. That's not. Mm-mm. What we get is a prescription for the medicine that they make from marijuana. And there are some medicines that they make from marijuana that help in a few different places. But smoking weed doesn't help anything.
No,
Smoking weed.
You get like gummies and stuff like
that. And it's different. There's a few things that might help with, but very, very little. It is more hurtful than helpful.
If humans didn't mess with it, it would only be 7%. Now it's 30-something%.
Yeah.
If humans mess with it.
Yeah. And the deal about it is, when this person said this morning that it grows up out of the ground, what other drugs grow up out of the ground? Almost all of them, except for the ones that are created in the lab and stuff like that. Alcohol grows up out of the ground, right? Cocaine grows up out of the ground,
right? I understand why alcohol and cigarettes are legal.
I don't either. Cigarettes are worse than marijuana, but marijuana has 7 times more tar in it than cigarettes do. Marijuana will cause several different things. Marijuana causes cancer. It will cause you to have cancer, oral cancer, and lung cancer. Anything that you suck into your lungs will cause cancer. So you're sucking it into your lungs, that will cause cancer. It also, one of the biggest things it causes is amotivational syndrome. Yes.
Once upon a time, nicotine was actually considered the most addictive drug.
It is considered the most addictive drug right now. It's not once upon a time. Okay. Right now, today, nicotine is the most addictive drug out there. It also kills more people than all other forms of death combined.
That's right.
But you're going to go out there and smoke it here, and just like the gentleman said back here, I don't know why it's legal, because there's all that stuff. Here's the deal.
They monopolize the medical industry.
Yeah, and I will tell you and we're off base here a little bit, but let's do it anyway. If the Surgeon General said, if we stop smoking, using tobacco, 95% of our medical problems would disappear.
Right.
They just go away. But let me share something with you. Y'all don't get offended. If you do, then tell Miss Cynthia later on. Okay? Don't fool with me. But so I hear people all the time, well, if it's all that deadly and all that kind of stuff, won't the government do something about it? Well, the government has put a little thing on the side of it, said if you smoke this crap, it'll kill you, dummy. They have done that. But look, I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm brilliant. I'm not bragging. I'm brilliant. You're brilliant as well. I've told you that before. Most of you guys are just brilliant. You're brilliant. Some of the ladies over there, I'm going to tell you something. I've listened to some of the stuff y'all had to say, and you're brilliant. Let me share this with you, ladies and gentlemen. I don't need some government entity to tell me not to do something stupid. I don't need a government entity to come out and say, hey, look, y'all, against the law, shoot yourself between the eyes. And I'm not going to do it anyway. Even if the government don't tell me, I'm not going to do it anyway. Even if the government doesn't tell me I shouldn't smoke cigarettes, I know I shouldn't do it. I'm not going to do it anyway because I'm brilliant. All right. The government didn't tell me you shouldn't drink alcohol, but look, I don't drink alcohol anymore because why? I'm brilliant, right? I mean, and I will tell you this: it doesn't really take somebody who's hyper brilliant to know that if this is poison, I'm not going to put it in my body. Huh? And I don't need the government. to come up and say, look, you shouldn't do this. Although the government does that all the time with regularity, they keep telling you, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. You're stupid. Don't do it. We do it anyway. Okay, so if the government, look, if the government came out and said, look, personally, I want to come to you personally, and they send a representative from the government, and they come out and say, I want you to stop smoking. You wouldn't stop smoking. I tell you at least once a month. We go over all of the stuff and tell you all of the reasons that you should stop smoking. And you guys have cigarettes stuck behind your ear in groups, which is not allowed, but you do it anyway. And as soon as there's a break, you're going to go out there and smoke anyway.
The government makes money off of cigarettes.
Well, of course the government makes money off cigarettes because people do stupid stuff. It doesn't make any difference whether it's going to kill us or not. We're going to do it, right? Because it makes us feel better.
Why don't you sell cigarettes? Yeah. Everything.
Why don't you sell cigarettes in jail?
Why they don't sell cigarettes
In jail.
in jail? Well,
They make a lot of money.
well, they could.
Aspect of everyone could choose to do what they want, everything.
You
Yeah.
know, he started this off by saying that more deaths related to cigarettes, and that's why jails don't sell cigarettes. It's liability, it's responsibility.
That could be.
That
That could be. He's saying they don't sell cigarettes in jail because there's a liability. The deal is that, look, that's a really good opportunity. I've talked to a whole bunch of people who said that they're going to jail for a period of time, save their life. And, but most of the folks, when they got out, they would go right back to using cigarettes. So why would we do that? Because of addiction. And look, I pick on y'all about that all the time because I want you to stop. If we could get some spirituality connected in with that, it would help us to stop what we're doing that is not good for us and help us to stay where we needed to stay. But we don't do that. So usually, because we got to have something other than what we're doing now. If what's not working now, then we might need to adjust it. We might need to do something a little different. Does that make sense? It does make sense. So maybe if I connect in something like spirituality, maybe if I get God on my side to help me do this, then I can do that. One of the things this morning we're going to look at is addiction real quickly. And some of this is just going to make these statements, and then you get to make up your mind whether or not you agree with it. So one of the first things we need to know about addiction is that addiction is a primary chronic disease of the brain. Now, what does primary mean?
first, number one, main priority.
Yeah, primary means it is the disease. It is not a symptom of a disease. It is the disease. I have the disease of addiction. So why is it important for us to believe that? Tell me, Coda, what do you think? Why do you think it's important for you to believe that this is an addiction? I mean, that this is a disease?
Otherwise, it wouldn't give you the seriousness to determine whether or not you want to do it.
Okay. And here's the deal. If it's a disease, that means that I can do something about it. Whatever disease we have, we can do something about it. If you have HIV, can you cure that? No. But can you do something about it?
You take
Yeah.
medicine and live the rest of your life.
Right.
That's what I see now.
Yeah.
You control it.
You can control it. People live 40, 50, 60 years with HIV nowadays and it never goes over to AIDS because we control it with medications and diet and all of those kinds of things. Same thing with addiction. We can't get rid of it. It's a chronic disease. It's a primary disease. Chronic means what?
Right.
Yeah, 6 months or longer.
Yeah, it's going to be there for the rest of your life. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is a personal belief that I have. I do believe that my God can take care of it. My God can make it go away. I do believe that he can take it away from you, but any other way doesn't work. There's no medication for it now. There is medication to keep you from using. Y'all know what antabuse is and all of that stuff. Keep you from getting on alcohol for a few minutes. There are medications that help you when you have a relapse or something like that. When you overdose, stuff like there's medications that help you do all that. We have tons of medications that we can use to help you get through the process so that you can get into it. But there's no medication to cure us. So there's some maintaining stuff, but there's no cure. So it's chronic, it's primary, it's a disease of the brain reward center, right? And the guy that I put this together for just got out of here, so he's gone. But all of us can get something out of this. So look. The motivation, memory, and related circuitry that this disease messes with every bit of that. It's considered a disease of the brain because the drugs we use, every drug, what drug does not change your brain? What drug if you use it, what drug will not change your brain?
Sugar.
What is it?
Sugar.
Sugar? Sugar is a bad drug. Sugar will change your brain. Sugar changes everything. Sugar will change your toes. Sugar changes everything. There's not one. What is it?
Sugar gives people anxiety.
I didn't hear you.
Sugar gives people anxiety.
Yeah, sugar gives you all sorts of stuff. Gives you anxiety and all of that kind of crazy mess. But there's not one out there that you can use that doesn't change your brain. Alcohol we know is a drug, right? If you're a heavily user of alcohol, if you use alcohol for 20, 25, 30 years, what will it do to your brain? It'll pickle it. It will shrink your brain. Your brain will actually physically shrink by up to about 20% of the mass of your brain. That's an amazing thing. And now look, guys, there are other things that also will shrink your genitalia. So alcohol will do that. So if you should be concerned one end or the other, because think about that. If your brain shrinks by 20%, you cannot be as intelligent, you cannot be as thoughtful, you cannot be as relatable, you cannot be anything like you used to be, correct? You just can't do that because of the fact that your brain has shrunk. Now, other drugs shrink your brain as well, not as dramatically, but that your brain does shrink. After a while, if you're using drugs and alcohol, it will affect your liver, right? Right? Yeah, it will affect your liver. And so if your liver is affected, we get two different things that affects our liver. It's going to cause what's called psoriasis of the liver. That's scarring on your liver. Any place those scars are, your liver can't function in that area. Then we have another thing that happens is called fatty tissue, fatty deposits on your liver. And those can't do it either. They can't. What's the function of the liver? What is it?
Filter.
It's a filter. It can't filter like it was before. So now it's not filtering well. So what happens is instead of filtering the alcohol and filtering the drugs, it turns it into a type of acid and puts it into your bloodstream. And then that acid goes up into your brain cavity. And your blood takes it up into that cavity that is created between your shrunken brain and your skull, and so it allows that acid to get into that fluid that's in that area, and so your brain is floating in an acid up there caused by the alcohol and the drug use, and so that's what we call a wet brain. So when you do your head back and forth like this, your brain can hit both sides of your skull, and you can actually get a traumatic brain injury if you run into something or all that, because your brain is floating around in that. That's what this stuff is doing to us. And though we're brilliant, we're fantastic, we have so much intelligence, we still do stupid stuff. Because anytime I put a drug into my body, including nicotine, that's not the smartest thing I'm going to do today. That's not the smartest thing I'm going to do. When I go out here and suck sulfur into my lungs, that's not the smartest thing that I've done. I had somebody asked me the other day in this group right here, don't you drink coffee? Yes. Isn't caffeine a drug? Yes. So is too much coffee bad for you? Sure.
Yeah,
Sure it is.
a lot of people drink.
Yeah, a lot of people drink it. I'm going to tell you, you need to make sure that we've got your contact for your people, because if you die over here in the group, we're going to have to call somebody and move your carpet. We can't just leave you laying here, so if you die. So anyway, yeah, it's a drug. Now, doing the research that I have done I research everything. Caffeine is good for people with type 2 diabetes. If you don't have diabetes at all, coffee is good to keep you from getting. It will protect you from getting diabetes. So it's good in that. Once you have diabetes, it will help again a little bit, not a lot. But you should drink 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day. That's what they tell you. So and a lot of people believe that doubling up, and that's not true. So it is a disease. It's considered a disease because the drugs change our brain. They change its structure. They make it shrink. They change how it works. So now look, this is not being mean to you or anything else, not meant to be offensive, but you're not as smart as you were when you first started using drugs. You have dumbed yourself down a bit. You're not, And if we go back out of here and we get back on the crack cocaine, we get back on the marijuana, then we're not. It's going to just cause that decline to increase, and your intelligence level is going to go down, 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 down. So, say that again.
The pill's not hurt.
Oh yeah. Every drug you put in there hurts your intelligence. And we've talked about this 1,000 times, that even the drugs that they give me, like metformin and all those statins and all of those things that we're supposed to be using is supposed to be helpful, they're not. Now, they may keep some of those symptoms down and all of that kind of stuff, but they themselves are harmful to your body. So they're not good. There's not a drug out there. I know some people, we're talking about spirituality a little bit this morning. Some people are religiously involved in their drugs. And usually, I will tell you that people who use marijuana, they can come up with all sorts of good reasons for good excuses for bad behavior. Marijuana is, the gift from God. They're going to sing and pray and love on marijuana. And if God came down and said, "Hey, look, Herschel, I'm going to let you just get rid of one drug, just whichever one you want to get rid of, it'd be marijuana," I'd get that out of there. There's so much stuff that we don't know about marijuana. It's just a really bad drug. One of the worst things about it. Say it again.
Probably the least harmful drug.
I couldn't hear you. This guy's so.
It actually kills cancer cells.
No, this is why we're looking for all of these things to do that. One of the worst things that marijuana does.
If you're a sober person and you consider what medicines use, not like if you're one who wanted to recreationally do it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we want to do, though. We're going to tell a 12-year-old boy that, hey, if you smoke marijuana, you're not going to get stage 4 cancer, which is a lie. And we get them started on that. And what they do catch is amotivational syndrome. And so we got a lot of. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Like if they already had cancer,
yeah,
you suggested a drug for them.
Well, I'm not going to suggest. Here's the deal. Let me share with you about cancer, and we're all because we want to argue about marijuana. and that's okay. But if a person has stage 4 cancer, am I going to argue with them about smoking marijuana? No, I'm not going to argue with them if they want to drink a gallon of gasoline and then smoke cigarettes. If you got stage 4 cancer, you got 30 minutes to live. I don't care. But when you're talking, you're telling that kind of crap to a 12-year-old kid, and they start smoking marijuana because you're telling them what a wonder drug it is, I have an issue with that. It causes a motivational syndrome. And a motivation, anytime you know, I'm sure everybody here knows that anytime you put an A in front of any word, it means the opposite of that word. So a motivational means it takes away your motivation for anything else. And so all you want to do is use drugs. Now, I have had down through the years, I've used marijuana. I have had down through the years thousands of people. I hate talking about marijuana because that's people's God, and they will defend it to the death. And anytime you say marijuana is bad, you know who likes marijuana in the group, because they all start going, because, oh no, it's God. It grows right up out of the ground. It's the most amazing miracle. If it was, we'd have a cure for cancer and it'd be called marijuana. It's not like that. It's not that. It's not like that.
Yeah, I think it's good. This thing is not as bad as alcohol or cigarettes or other drugs.
Well, you can say that, and perhaps that's true on some levels, but it still has its own issues. Most of the people who are heavy marijuana users, they stop at that level because they have no motivation, because they are a victim of a motivational syndrome, and they're not. Look, their motivation in life is to get their next bowl or their next joint or their next gummy or whatever they're using. And so it does, and it is, and I know y'all know this, but it is one of the greatest gateway drugs out there. I have been to the funerals of several people who died from drug use. Now, they didn't overdose on marijuana and die from marijuana, but that's what they started with at 12 years old, because somebody was dumb enough to tell them that this is a marvelous miracle drug. Use it.
I've had the displeasure of going through chemo cancer with three people, three family members.
Right.
And I simply asked the doctor more than one time, what are the benefits of using marijuana?
Right.
Yeah. And he said the only benefit was appetite.
Yeah.
Most cancer patients lose their appetite.
Right.
And one of the benefits, he said the only benefit that he see was it helps them regain their appetite, which is important.
Yeah, it is important, and that's okay.
But other than that,
it's very.
Actually, there are no benefits.
No,
it don't.
There aren't, and here's.
It don't do nothing.
Right.
But it does help with the appetite.
And here's
I went through this 3 times.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for that. But here's the deal, and we're going to move on because it's not what we're supposed to be beating on today. But we need to be intellectually honest. Just want to get high. But, here's the deal. You don't have to argue with everybody about how wonderful it is. Just be honest with yourself. Look, you're saying, well, that's good for cancer. You don't have cancer. It's good for these tremors that you don't have that. You don't have any of those diseases that you're getting in my face about, saying, well, it's good for that, it's good for that. You just want to get high. And you don't want to make it okay for you to get high. It's not okay. It's going to cause these things in your life. Any drug that you put in your body is not good for your body. Marijuana is not good for your body. When you get cancer, then go start using it. As a matter of fact, if you continue to use it with the tar level in it being 7 times higher than most cigarettes, you're liable to get cancer quicker, and then you can get yourself some good appetite by using them. So, these brain changes can be long-lasting, and they can lead to harmful behaviors seen in people who have used drugs. Here's the deal. When your brain has shrunk by 20%, and you say, okay, I'm going to stop using marijuana, and I'm going to stop using alcohol, I'm going to stop using cocaine, I'm going to stop using everything, will your brain reconstitute itself? Well, look, let me tell you this. It's a yes and no question, because the thing is that you were fearfully and wonderfully made. Usually, when you stop smoking, your lungs will repair themselves. You give it a year from now, and your lungs are going to be in marvelous shape. So, if if you quit using drugs and alcohol, your brain will begin to repair itself. It usually doesn't have enough time for your lifespan or in your lifespan to completely repair itself and put back that 20% of your brain that you lost. But you're going to get back 2-3% of that brain. It's gonna ease it. It's going to try. Your body's going to start working. But if your liver is shot, is that going to repair itself? No. So if your liver is shot, it's not going to repair itself. Are you going to be able to get on a liver transplant? You can, but they're not supposed to do it. But do you know that those doctors who do the transplant and stuff, they're going to take a good close look at that? And if you're a Boy Scout and you've never done anything and all of that kind of stuff, and they're probably going to give it to you before they'll give it to me, who drank all those years. So probably it's not going to, it will a little bit rebuild itself, but your liver. So here the brain is a 3-pound mass made up of a whole lot of different parts that act together as a team. Each part has a specific functions. Those different areas communicate by sending electrical impulses across the brain cells using neurons. To send a message, the brain releases neurotransmitters into the space separating the two cells, which is called a synapse, and the neurotransmitter crosses the synapse and attaches to receptors on the receiving cell. This causes changes in the receiving brain cell, and the message is delivered. Now, here's the deal. Don't raise your hand, but a lot of us have used cocaine. Cocaine makes you feel crazy. It also burns out your receptors. So as you use it, it burns out those receptors so that you cannot feel all of those things. You can't feel fun. You can't feel pleasure anymore. You get to a place that we call anhedonia, and you cannot feel anymore. So things that used to be fun and happy to you, they burned out all of that stuff, and you can't feel that. Y'all got it all figured out.
We asked this question, trying to figure it out right now.
Okay, well, y'all take care of it. Get it all figured out. So drugs working in the brain, drugs are chemicals that interfere with the way that those brain cells communicate. And look, right here, right above your eyes over here, there's a little spot here that is where your major thinking processes that are going to stop you from doing anything crazy. This is your frontal lobe, right? So brain, your drug use attacks your frontal lobe and won't let that work very well. But if you come back down here behind all of this stuff, down here on the bottom, you have a little piece of stuff that looks kind of like this, and that is what? That's my limbic system. It's called the mesolimbic system. And what the mesolimbic system is for is to regulate your bodily functions and to regulate your pleasure centers and all those kinds of things. And that's a good thing. But when we use cocaine, when we use marijuana, when we use whatever drug that we use, it excites that limbic system, and over a period of time, that limbic system will get to a place where it becomes dependent on that, and it's going to be telling you that you have got to have that. Everybody that's asleep, sweet dreams. Sometimes you can have the greatest dreams when because when you're in early recovery, it gives you vivid dreams. If y'all notice that, it's just the most amazing. I had some really vivid dreams. So they interfere with it. Mostly substances target a part of the brain called the reward system, and that's this limbic system that we're talking about. The reward system tells us that certain behaviors tend we need to repeat those things, like eating, like drinking water, like sex. Why is sex necessary?
Keeping motivated. Great sex, especially reproduction.
Reproduction, yeah. And look, exercise, yeah, you might get some exercise from it. Well, by releasing a chemical called dopamine, that's a chemical that makes us feel motivated, that gives us pleasure. When drugs enter the reward system, the brain notes that something important is happening that needs to be repeated in the future. You notice that you eat every day, you drink water every day, you have sex on a regular basis, because the limbic system is telling you it's time to do that. You need to do that, and all sorts of whatever. It tells you to breathe. Why do you? We've asked this question 100 times, but why do you drown when you go underwater? Why do you drown? Well, you don't have any oxygen. Okay, you could go down on the bottom and walk out. What is it?
The brain tells you to breathe.
And your lungs full of water.
Right, your brain says breathe because the limbic system knows that you need to breathe. And so you haven't breathed in 30 minutes, you've been underwater, and you're smart enough to know that there's no air here, like you said, there's no oxygen there, there's nothing for me to breathe, so you're holding your breath, but at some point your limbic system says breathe. And when you breathe, you inhale water directly into your lungs and you die. So why would the limbic system tell you to breathe?
Trying to do that. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, you have to, look, it's trying to save your life, but by trying to save your life, it's going to kill you. This is why you can't hold your breath. You can't hold your breath long enough to die. You can't smother yourself to death. You can't hold your breath until you die, right? Because your limbic system is going to make you breathe. And if you're underwater when your limbic system is making you breathe, then you're going to be trying to breathe and you're going to suck in water because there's nothing there for you to do. So, and your limbic system gets to the place where it gets, when you're using cocaine or you're using marijuana or any other kind of drug, it's going to get to the place where it feels like you have to have that drug. And it will tell you have to have this drug. But it will tell you to a certain level that you believe if you don't get the drug, you're going to die. This is one of the reasons that we relapse so often. We'll go back to the old people and the old places and the old things. And when we get there, at the old people and the old places and the old things, we get triggered. And it's not like, gosh, I'd like to have a nice cold beer. It's like, oh my God, I've got to use or I'll die. And that person makes your limbic system trigger to that because it knows that you used to use with that. So, when using substances, say it again.
Premarital sex will hinder your spirituality, cause you to gain more mental problems.
I am so sorry. I know that sounded really important, but I do apologize, but I didn't get it.
Premarital sex will hinder your spirituality.
Okay, y'all get that? Premarital sex will hinder your spiritual.
Cause you to gain more mental issues.
Yeah, and it can cause you to have more mental issues. I will tell you this, that a lot of people, being a pastor, I have talked to a lot of people before they got married and stuff like that. One of the things we did a study on was, is it a good idea to kind of live together for a little while before you get married so you'll know if you're sexually compatible and all of that?
It seemed that way.
So,
I don't think that.
you don't think there's anything wrong with it? I,
I'm
I
not
don't.
saying no.
Yeah, I don't ascribe to it because I try to follow the Bible. The Bible says don't do it. But what's the divorce rate in the United States right now? About 50%. What's the divorce rate among people who go to church and are Christian and all that?
1%.
About 50%. It don't make much difference if you go to
People
church.
that pray together.
But for people who live together for a certain amount of time and then get married, what's the divorce rate?
As old, I bet it's lower than 50%.
It's 70%. Because, yeah, 70%. It's higher for people who live together, and there's a couple of reasons for that. In your relationship with other people, when you live with that person, there are a set amount of things that you can do to help keep the relationship viable. When this happens, the relationship's going to go on. If you live together for a year or 2 or 10 years, you've used up all of those things. And the last thing that you're using to keep the relationship together is to go ahead and get married. And so, shortly after that, everything falls.
I
Yeah.
did that.
So,
I did just that.
yeah.
I lived with a woman here, and just make her I knew it was over, but to make her happy, try to save it, we got married. That didn't last. It lasted probably a year and a half.
Well, that's because we have cheapened that. It's nothing but it's no big deal. Most people are just living together and stuff like that. And so, my wife and I, March the 24th, will be married for 53 years. And I'm thinking, I'm thinking about running her off. So, no. So when we take those drugs and stuff, we feel like the brain, that limbic system says, hey, this is an important thing. So this is something that needs to happen again. So we're gonna do that again. When using substances, the amount of dopamine is much greater than natural rewards, making it that the reward for using is so powerful that it motivates us to use them. So drugs change our brain. When we get back in here, we're going to be looking at the pleasure scale and some other things like that. And so we're going to take our break now. It's a little early, I know that. But we'll be back 15 minutes after.
Oh shoot, I had keys. But I had given it to what's her name? Case. I got it. I forgot I had it in the drawer. I got it. I thought you had it. I didn't have it on the case. Lied to you. They lied to you.
Yeah.
So this is I do too.
Come on, I'm studying. Get on with
So the next time I'm going to do a checkup, I say yes. That is clearly equal by the age of man. Because it's not good for us.
back up by this. Yeah, something. Hey, my word. I called somebody else. Or you have like this facility. That's in my Iranian, that's all it is. Children. Stop you so much. Keep going. You can go to Amazon. What's that place? You know little cylinders, little withdrawals? Yeah. Well, on the same side is the health food store. Got one right by. What is it right there? That's it. Yeah, right there. Got one right there. I'm a deadline to I'm trying to figure out that they wrote me. One I did, my good I did was but here's the problem. How you know? They how you know? Because all I do is people give up. They not work automatically. They go, you got to give your body a chance. Make it up. I saw that. I got a tumor. Chapel. Some clothes off. I chopped me up some raw ginger. My business. They go back, I just pick that up. They natural my business. And do my little thing. You get some water, put it in there and steep for about 15 minutes. Put a little lemon, the honey in, put that black pepper in, ginger, black pepper. Sometimes I got some cloves. With excellence. So it's blood pressure up, kill the cholesterol. I never had this dog. I'm looking. Look at me, dog. Look at it. Look at me, dog. I tell you what, look at it. Good. I gotta put the wrong language on the no. Yes. Oh, no recreation today. Oh, you glad? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, you got that. You got one? Yeah, I don't have no cell. Oh, yeah, it is right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm over with. You got my fish. Shoes gone. Yeah. Suit up so you can boot up. You gotta talk him back. I learned that. Yeah. Nephew's
no. Okay. This warm, yeah. I'm not the only one, huh?
It's good to me. Know I got up this morning, put on this funny, now I gotta get rid of it.
It's good though. Go turn on the air conditioning. Side bill.
Hey, Steve!
Hey, Brown. Brown. Mr. Brown. That's your place from yesterday? Huh? Huh? Oh, I got you. Neighbor. I'm gonna be some lady.
I don't know. But good luck. That's all I can tell you, man. Good luck.
Oh, what do you say? What is so, man, you know what you got to see it.
No, no, is that the speaker that glass? No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Steven can't make it one coffee.
Like that.
Because he put 3 bags of coffee in it just like water.
Oh. Don't do that, bro. So,
Those
wait, what's about this? Clean up behind. Not too long. Not too many.
I'm putting more restrictions. What
Hey, don't do the test.
Turn it up. Visitation.
David. No. David.
Oh, David.
Yeah.
Mommy.
No, David.
That's not that shit.
Why did everybody say she wouldn't miss
Dang, get the motherfucker time.
That's so people don't overeat, bro.
So what? That's it. When I need to say hand sanitizer, I'm saying I had to come to your house. You had to give me some.
Oh, ain't everybody?
Actually, that's good.
I can't have it on this no more.
We can't have it on the gas.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you did too?
Well, I told them to pick up the hand sanitizer on that.
My business.
It must be mine because ain't nobody trying to tell me. I should have said the other way. If it must not be mine either. That's okay. I'll find out.
Well, who said that we can have it? I heard after the incident, we can have a hand sanitizer on. I can have that.
Ain't got it on.
So what I'm saying, like,
You ain't have the bathroom.
who is supposed to be in the bathroom anyway?
You got this.
Okay, well.
So, the fight for soul.
Shit. I want to handle something at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you know,
You got that motherfucker in the house. And I'm saying,
why don't you get back to school? I used to wash your mouth out with soap.
I said,
You don't know about that.
like what?
Uh-huh.
Say
What?
Talking about whenever when you cut, you want to put this on your mind?
You know.
Right.
You swear? Are you swearing, young man?
So, I smell. I feel like I wash my hands, I dry my hands, I need some hand sanitizer, so like you say, got a lot of motherfuckers in the house, at the house and shit, sneezing in their hands, don't like to wash their hands, just, I ain't trying to get sick out of them, damn one of them motherfuckers. Real stuff.
Yeah, I want that. How's your daughter?
What was it? Did you
How's
say?
your daughter doing?
Well, I just texted her to see how she was doing, and she hadn't gotten back. Hopefully, she didn't down the table.
I don't think that's
How you
it,
think
That's
like
my
that?
day up.
How you thinking like that?
That'd be bad.
Why you think that?
I ain't thinking that way. I just said that.
Don't even must say that.
You know what we say is just
To elicit a response.
exactly.
I can't get one from you guys for the training. Maybe I can.
So you
for
just
the
throw
no.
in there. So you just throw in.
Well, there'd be, yeah. Since we were talking about marijuana, we had 4 or 5 people seriously engaged.
Oh, okay.
But we had 4 or 5 people asleep. Somebody was somewhere else doing some type of work. I don't know where they were.
I heard you about the weed. But,
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but and you know, you're brilliant. I've told you that before.
Oh.
If you're studying something else and getting him involved in your study,
No,
then you're
look,
not involved in what we're doing up
look,
here.
what you saying, like, the things that you say, I question them. Like certain words that you
I
talk
think
about.
that's a great idea. You should do that after boot because what you're talking about there, we're 14 miles down the road from you. You're stuck down here
Actually,
in Beaumont. You're still in Beaumont. We're all the way to Houston. And so
yeah,
the
the
trip,
these time,
the trip, the trip from Beaumont to Houston, you missed all that.
Yeah, it's called a plane, man.
Dr. G,
Yes.
you a pastor, right?
Yeah.
I just saw that. I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your church is in Macon?
No. We're about to start a new one.
Where?
Probably I'm in the Finette area.
Oh,
So you got one out here in Beaumont already?
No, I have one in Orange.
In Orange? Okay. We should take.
and then, that's why I was in there. All the way down. Go for 69. Yeah. Excuse me, Go for 69. That's about a football stadium.
Yeah, I can
Well,
All 59 and this and that.
Oh, man.
Well,
59 and living.
All right, we're back. We're going to do a real quick study here on the pleasure scale and a couple other little things. Let us know how all of this stuff works when we use any kind of drug. And I don't know that you realize it. I do it so very under the radar and stuff like that, so people usually can't tell. But just to clarify my position, I don't like marijuana. I don't. I don't. I think it is the most insidious drug because it is, and the reasoning behind that is because we can convince ourselves that it is not a dangerous drug. And I've had some brilliant people in my life that would go to the mat. They would die talking about, defending a drug that is killing them and is killing millions of people. And they go to the mat to defend all that stuff.
you say you don't like it now,
I hate
but
that.
did you love it until this?
Say it again. Oh yes, I thought it was the cat's meow. I also thought that alcohol was a big deal.
I was saying, what about alcohol? What about nicotine? They kill more than marijuana, cocaine, crack, everything.
I thought all of that.
Nicotine and alcohol is legal. And I think that as long as they can tax marijuana, it's just going to get legal in every state. If they can tax crack, yeah, they would make it legal. If they could find a way to tax it and the government make money, more money than you, they would legalize it. Because how else would you explain alcohol killing more people? How would you explain nicotine kill more people than every other drug combined?
Let's come and set
But
up
it's
building
legal
everybody.
because they tax it.
See, that's the discussion we had earlier that we've already discussed. We've already done that once.
But I'm just saying, if they tax it,
And they're headed in that direction. A bunch of states are making it legal, and they are taxing the snot out of it. If you go to Oregon or if you go to Colorado, they have marijuana is legal in those states. If you do the research instead of just I like the drug, I like it, marijuana is good for. If you do the research, you find that in the state of Colorado, the traffic issues and crime issues and all of that stuff has exploded since they started using marijuana. And then the states around Colorado are suing Colorado because people are leaving their states, going over and getting, legal marijuana, and then bringing it back into their states, and they're having car crashes and all kinds of stuff like that. And I have people tell me all the time, nobody's ever overdosed and died from marijuana. There's been a study that shows that about 12% of people who are heavy marijuana users die in vehicle accidents because their response time is down. It's limited when you're supposed to, if I need the next 5 feet to stop, if I'm high, I can't do that. My motor skills are not responding correctly and all of that stuff, and they die in motor vehicle accidents. People, if we're potheads, we won't throw that out. That don't count. Yes, it counts. And so 12% of the people who are addicted to marijuana, and marijuana addicts us in 3 different ways. It has physiological addiction, has a psychological addiction, and it also has an oral fixation. I've had a lot of people jump me about this. It ain't like I didn't study it. Okay, I have researched this stuff, and when I went to college and we went through those courses on pharmacology and all of that, we spent months talking about the danger of this drug. And at this point, we're still researching it for 2 reasons. We're researching it to see if there is any other medications, because we have managed to make 4 major medications that come from that plant. They don't have any THC in them at all, but it comes from the plant. That's the first thing they take out of it. And then the second thing is to figure out what it's actually doing to you, because really, right now, we've got a really good idea about amotivational syndrome and lung cancer and some other body cancers that it is really good at causing. And one of the things that we learned about marijuana and cancer, because everybody's quick, well, it's a cure for cancer. No, it's not. Actually, marijuana excites the cancer gene and that cell, the cancer cells, and makes them grow up to 20 times faster. So if you've got cancer and you start smoking marijuana, the cancer is going to grow up to 20 times faster. You may not care, but you're killing yourself quicker. So that's what marijuana does to cancer. Now, what we do, and just like you said, if you got stage 4 cancer and you're going to die in 3 months and you can't eat because you're sick to your stomach all the time, and all of the stuff that you're trying to fight that stuff with, and you smoke some dope and it gives you a little bit of the munchies and you can eat a little bit of something, okay, I'm all for that. Do that. I'm not against that at all. I think that's fantastic. As a matter of fact, if you're 84 years old and you've got stage 4 cancer, whatever you want to do to cause you to be a little more comfortable, I'm okay with that. What's problematic for me is that most of the people I know who are using marijuana and stuff like that, they're not 84 years old. They don't have cancer. They're 12 and they're 13 and they're 14 and they're destroying their stinking lives. Their potential is flipping gone. They're going to be living under somebody's house, and they're going to be driving nothing, riding a bicycle through the neighborhood. You look out here, grown men riding a bicycle, selling dope and stuff like that. If that's your goal in life, smoke dope all day long, stay on the couch and watch the cartoons and eat, whatever you can find to eat in the house, then you got it made. That marijuana will help you do that. It will not help you to reach your full potential in life. Because of amotivational syndrome, you ain't going to reach your full potential in life if you smoke dope. You're just not. Now, here's the deal. We always talk about this, and I'm not a fan of this either, but it's just the truth, and I am a fan of the truth. There's always an outlier. You're going to be able to find somebody out there, some person, some 1 or 2 people who use marijuana every day of their life, and they're doing great. They've got a great home and a great car and a great job, but they're the exception to the rule. They're the outlier. You're not that. You're you. And so 99.9% of us It's not going to allow us to do that. It's going to affect us abnormally. It's going to make us get to the place where our potential, whatever our potential was, is not going to be there. We're not going to reach even 10% of our potential. And so, hey, but look, here's the deal again. And if we're sitting in here today saying marijuana is a wonder drug, we've already relapsed. We're already thinking about relapse, and we're going to get out of here and find us something to smoke. And it may not happen in your life, but in my life, when I was smoking dope, there's two things I wanted to do. I wanted to eat something and drink something, and so it will lead you to bad behavior. So wrong men, wrong women.
I don't plan on smoking again. I do agree that smoking 5 pounds a day would probably hinder your success. I was just arguing that it's not the worst drug there is. Like,
What's the worst drug there is?
Cigarette people die. I know people die from cigarettes and alcohol pills. I haven't heard one person that ever died from marijuana.
Well, I just told you, 12% of the people who use it die in a car accident or something. Some type of accident in the home. They also talked about 12% of the people die from alcohol, from some type of vehicle, because you can't drive well when you're high. And it's very small number. It's like 2 or 2.5% die in home accidents. Most of those in the bathroom, slipping and falling into the bathroom. See, you're going to always find an excuse for it not to be true. But just be intellectually honest. It's a bad drug. It's not a good drug. There's no such thing.
I don't want to smoke.
Say again?
I don't want to smoke. I'm just saying it's not the worst drug.
Okay. And look, it may not be. I agree with you that nicotine is the drug that kills more people than all other drugs and all other types of death combined. So that, nicotine should be the one that we quit. And the Surgeon General said if we all quit all kind of tobacco products that have nicotine in them, nicotine is not what kills you. What kills you? What kills you? When you're using cigarettes and stuff, what kills you? Okay.
Cancer,
Some people are not here, even if they're here. What kills you is all of the other additives that they put in the cigarettes. Nicotine is what causes you to be addicted to the tobacco. It's what causes you to have it.
You want a cigarette?
No, I'm smart. I'm intelligent. No, I'm not stupid. I got past that a long time. I used to smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day. I did not quit because somebody told me how dangerous it was to me. I quit because I could save some money. I was in the military, wasn't making any money. And back then, cigarettes, I was smoking 3 packs a day. So cigarettes were 33 cents a pack. That's 99 cents. And so, I figured, hey, if I quit smoking, then that's $30 a month. My God. Yeah, I did a lot of smoking when I was drinking. Yeah. So anyway, that's one of the biggest reasons that's why I was smoking so much. But yeah, and I would agree that that's the worst drug out there is nicotine. So we need to quit nicotine. So if we all agree on that, then we'll all start on the path to stopping the use. Everybody over here at South is going to stop smoking. So how about all you guys over there, or you ladies over there at North? Y'all want to join us in that? I'll come by and y'all
Won't you just tell everybody to throw the cigarette?
Yeah, just everybody throw your cigarettes in the trash can. You know why we don't throw our cigarettes in the trash can? Because the staff would be in there stealing off. Look, and look at that. You know what? I keep telling y'all that's a good excuse for bad behavior. What did he just say? He ain't gonna throw his cigarettes in there. What would that be? That's throwing away money. That's a good excuse for bad behavior. That's not good.
You just heard a pretty good reason why somebody else smoked.
Say it again.
I said, me and you we just heard a pretty good reason why one of your staff is smoke.
Yeah.
Said breathing the air is bad.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I might as well smoke.
I'd go
It's
smoke.
only fair to take all drugs.
Yeah. And see, that's another good excuse for bad behavior. I was picking on a staff member for smoking, and she said, "Well, the air around here is all bad. There's all these plants and all this, and the air is so bad, and I'll die from cancer in 3 weeks. I'm gonna be dead." Well, okay, that's a good excuse for bad behavior. The air is so bad around here in South Texas, I might as well smoke too. Okay, does that make sense?
No,
That doesn't make sense. There's nothing I can do about the quality of the air around here. By the way, the quality of the air around here is not that bad. There's plants and stuff out here. And if you go out there and put your lips over one of those exhaust pipes, you're going to die from that. But all of that stuff dissipates. If you'll watch it, it dissipates into the atmosphere. It goes away and all of that kind of stuff. And the air quality, they check this stuff every time, and the EPA has a level where it has to be. They check it right outside the plants. If you go over there and watch them, if you've ever been around one of those plants, there's those guys with all those meters and stuff. They're checking the air quality. And if it ever gets to the place where the air quality is not good, they'll shut that plant down. So the air quality is not here. It's not as good as if you go up to Colorado and go up in the mountains and stuff like that, but it's not bad. So that's a lame excuse to continue putting carcinogens into your lungs. So here's the deal about drugs and alcohol and all of that kind of stuff. This is what happens when right here. And by the way, for those of you, I got a thing back from my daughter. She's out, yeah. And she said, "I'm good today, had a rough night. I have a CT scan scheduled for today." And they mentioned a second heart catheterization, which sounds like fun. So, yeah, I didn't read that last part, but at least she made it through there. She didn't die on the table. Yeah. These guys thought I was so bad. So, this is the pleasure scale. This is what's going on with us. This right here, the circle here, this is the normal range. This is where we are when we're not using drugs, we're not doing anything, we're having a good time, we feel really good. But what happens to this thing is, and sometimes, I don't like my own. A lot of times, why do we use drugs? Why do you think you use drugs? To get high. You don't know why you use drugs? What was it?
I like it.
You liked it. Why you use drugs? It makes you mellow. Okay, why you use drugs? I love you, man. I done asked that same question to everybody in here. Huh?
Why did I smoke that gas? But I wanted to,
Because you wanted to. Yeah, and here's the deal. A lot of times that's just what it is. We want to get high. We want to change our reality. I don't like the way my life is. I want to change my mood. I want to use some mood-altering drug to change the way I feel or change my reality. I don't like the way things are, and I can't change them other than using a mood-altering drug, which is not true. You can change your reality in a whole lot of different ways. There's a whole big old world out there that's going to change my reality if I move from Beaumont to Houston, isn't it? It will, unless I go back to using drugs and alcohol over there. Because the problem is that wherever I go, there I am. Yeah. And so, but that'll change my reality. I can change my reality by going back to school, getting some more education, and becoming a nurse, a lawyer, whatever. I can do all sorts of things like that to change my reality. I can get out of a bad relationship, one that is not conducive to the things that I want in my life, and that's going to change my, change my reality. I can accept the fact that there is a power that's higher than me. And I can get involved real deeply in some spirituality, and that will change my life and my outlook and my mood and everything else. And so there's a lot of ways to change my reality and change my mood rather than using drugs. So I'm up here though, and my reality suddenly starts to suck. That happens. Things happen. Right now my reality is not what I want it to be. I really right now I don't like the fact that my daughter's over there, been in that stinking hospital now there for several days. And I'm going to tell you, I'll say it again.
Phone just on.
My phone did what?
Just on.
It was on. Well, that's probably her, because I sent her back a thing saying praise God. And so, not saying anything. Maybe it was some of those weird things. Anyway, that's my reality right now. That's my first kid, and that's my good kid. I've got her and two boys. Boys about worthless. She's the oldest, and she's like mama. She'll call me and say, "Dad, Mama's birthday." Yeah, I know, baby. I just making sure. Yeah, y'all got an anniversary coming. I know, honey pie. Yeah, I'm just making sure. It's Paul's birthday in 2 days. I'm just making sure, Dad. She'll do that. It doesn't make any difference how many times I've told her. I keep up with that stuff. I don't want to tell her I'd have missed it. And Paul's my youngest son, and I've missed his birthday 3 or 4 times. We missed it. We were on vacation. And he was about 8, and we missed his birthday. So we had a birthday party 2 days later, and so we didn't tell him, that we missed his birthday. But he was about 30, and I told him, dude got mad. And that was 20 some odd years later. He got, how did you forget my birthday? Well, since then I've forgotten it a couple of more times. And if it wasn't for his sister, we wouldn't have done it. So I don't know. I'm going to check. I may not be here tomorrow. I may be in Kingwood. According to how things go today, so I may not be. So I'm not real happy about the way that my I was telling somebody, who was I telling? I was telling him, I study and I get all this stuff together. Some of this stuff that I share with you guys, I've written myself, and all of that stuff, and I get it all done, and then I put it out. We have people who are sleeping and people who are paying absolutely no attention, and in the back of my mind, that retirement keeps coming up. I'm not doing any good. And when I ask you guys tomorrow what we studied today, and you don't know, then okay. And when I talk to people about marijuana and stuff, and it's just obviously they ain't listening to that, they don't care. So okay, you've spent all these years, so okay. Maybe you ought to go. I got a little trip planned to go to Ireland. Maybe I ought to go earlier. But anyway, man, wouldn't that be neat? Just get up and go. So here's the deal. I get to a place, my reality right now is not really what I want. And so I'm thinking I'll use a little something. What do I use? What do you think I'd use first? I ain't never used before. What I use first? Maybe marijuana, but usually it's alcohol, because that's the thing that's more, it's there, it's easy to get, there's some wine, there's some beer, there's something always easy to get, and so maybe I use a little alcohol, maybe it's marijuana, maybe it's a little bit of weed that I'm going to use, and it makes me, what do you think that causes in my life? At that point, I feel good. I just feel good. I just feel good. And it makes me feel good. I'm not addicted to it. It's not problematic for me. I'm not having real bad hangovers. Nothing like that is going on. So I feel pretty good about things. And so it's okay. And what happens when I get sober? I drop right back to normal. I feel okay, no big deal. Maybe if I drink a little bit too much, smoke a little bit too much, I might feel a little edgy. No big deal. no big deal. And I can do this how many times? Yeah, and it's different for different people, you know. Dakota may be able to do it 30 or 40 times, you know, before it becomes different. I might be able to do it only 2 or 3 times before it becomes different. But at some point, I'm going to reach this level right here. And what is that? I'm beyond being just feeling good. I'm at a place where I'm interested. What does that mean? Spell it. What is that? When I get interested, what am I doing?
And learning or wanting to learn.
Yeah, I'm learning something about my drug. I have already learned one thing about that drug. What have I learned?
I like it.
What is it?
I like it.
I like it. Yeah, then maybe there's 2 things. I like it. What's the second thing?
And I hate it. I like that it keeps me from
Yeah.
where I want to stay.
Yes. And I've also learned that I can trust it. Didn't even say bye. Just left. Didn't say bye. Didn't say hey, y'all. Anyway. Yeah, I've learned that I can trust my drug. I know what it's going to do to me.
When we drink to feel good and a person that's not an addict does the same, what are we triggering differently than what they're...
Well, a lot of the time, see, we're a little bit different than those people. We're called addicts. What are they called? They're called normies. They're normal. A normal person, when they drink, going to go back here. And they're going to continue to go back there. They're not going to progress from there unless they continue to do it for years and years and years and years and years. And at some point, after years and years and years and years, they also can progress. But those of us who have a gene, if it's in our genes, you know, you take a look, and if your mama and your daddy and your grandma and your grandpa, all of those guys had problems with alcohol, then the fact that we may have a problem with alcohol is paramount, you know, because it's genetically in our makeup. And so what happens is with us, these guys are just going back and forth here. They may suffer a little bit of a hangover or something, and then they're going to go to college. You know, they started that kind of, you know, and in college, their use is going to go way up. Our use is going to go way up in college. When we get out of college, those of us who have this issue, we're going to continue to get out of control and go on farther and farther. Those people who are normies, their use is going to drop way off, and they'll go back to just being a social drinker. That's what this person is here, is a social drinker. But now I've become more interested in the thing itself. I've become more interested in the drug. I have set my belief system on what I think the drug is. And I get to the place where I believe that, hey, you know what? This is only my own business. It's nobody else's business. I don't need somebody telling me that, you know, I don't need to be using all of that stuff. I begin to develop mild denial. Most people, you know, a lot of people, and when I'm teaching, and not here, I have other places I teach, but when I'm teaching, I have a lot of people doing it. I know, okay, they're in denial. They're in denial about their favorite fuzzy little drug that they use. They're in denial about that. And sometimes that's a real hard place to get people out of it. So we're beginning to make a little bit of denial up there. Now, here's the deal. When I'm using here, I'm still coming back to normal. Still coming back to normal when I stop using. Makes me real interested in all of the drug, what it's doing to me, all of that kind of stuff. And when I get to that place and I stop using, which I can still do, then I slip back here, and then I start using more and more and more. And all I'm worried about at this point in time is what?
Getting more.
Getting more. Pleasure. the drug that I'm using, whatever drug it might be, marijuana, cocaine, alcohol, whatever it is I'm using, gives me pleasure. I recognize the pleasure, and that's all I'm concerned with is receiving more pleasure from the drug. So that's what's called what? Chasing the dragon. I'm wanting to go do the same thing. I want to get the same high. I'm not going to get it because this high here is going to be the example high. That high is never going to come back. But I'm going to be, it's a lesser high every time past that, but I'm still going to be getting at it right here all the time, trying to get it. And so I'm just chasing after the drug for pleasure. It's a little bit harder for me to quit now, a little bit harder for me to stop. But when I do stop, I want to come back to a normal, but I'm going to be over here this side of normal because I'm going to have some emotional pain that starts to happen there and some physical pain. I'm going to start having hangovers. I'm going to start getting drug sick. I'm just going to start feeling anxious. I'm going to have a little anxiety when I don't have any weed. I'm going to get a little bit shaky and stuff because I don't have it anymore. So when all of that starts happening, I'm going to use, and it's going to bring me all the way over here to the end part of that, and then we'll have to start in the other direction. But it brings me to a place called euphoria. What does euphoria mean? Everybody thinks it means high, and of course it is kind of like that. But what euphoria means is just a calm state. It means I feel okay. Everything is all right. That's what I'm shooting for. This is not that giddy, crazy, dancing on the table stuff. It's just euphoric. Everything's okay. I just feel all right. So here's the deal. Now I'm getting to a place where, okay, I don't feel okay. I don't feel all right until I've used my. I'm sorry when you. I feel. Let me know you got something to say, and I'll stop. What was it? I didn't hear you because I was talking. What? Go ahead. No, we've stopped. No, we need to hear what you. All right, so we're at euphoria. Euphoria just means everything's okay. But what's problematic about that is that I have to use the drug to get to the place where everything's okay. If I'm not using the drug, things are not okay. So things are just nasty for me, and I need to use the drug. So at that point, what does that indicate? That is the beginning of addiction. That's the beginning of me not being able to say no to the drug. And that's what I see a lot of times. There's not a drug out there that people, if it's an addictive drug, there's not one that we don't get to the place where we can say, no, I'm not going to take that drug.
You know what I just learned?
I have
this
not.
I suffer from psychosis and two other things. I take medicine. When you mention euphoria, people say, but if you suffer from psychosis, you already been once, why would you use a drug like methamphetamine? And I just realized that even though it makes it worse, it does make me feel that euphoria. Like, even though I hear it, it's okay. I mean, I can deal with it.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
And I never was able to explain it to just then.
Well, right.
But just because I hear them when I'm high, I still feel like it's okay. I mean, I feel like everything will be okay.
Yeah.
And even though it's making it worse,
yeah.
I mean, I still feel like it's okay.
And that's why a lot of people are dually diagnosed. And that means that I have a diagnosis, mental health diagnosis, and I also am addicted. And so that's a dual diagnosis. So a lot of times when people have schizophrenia, people have bipolarism, people have depression, people have anxiety, all of those kinds of things, we use our drug of choice. Now here's the deal, the drug of choice does not cure us, but it makes it okay. It makes me feel it's all right. I get it.
Exactly.
I'm still hearing voices, but it's okay.
So it don't bother me as much.
I have a client who talks to himself incessantly. He's a schizoaffective, and he will argue. It's like he's talking to another person, and he will argue with that person. And sometimes they tell jokes to him, and it is the freakiest thing, you know. And yeah, you know, he is off of drugs. He's not using drugs. He does use some psychotropic drugs that we use to help him get down from that. But it's a really, yeah, that's a good point. So I'm at Euphoria, and this is where I have to use the drug to go. And now, when I get back from here, I've stopped using. This takes me back over into this area here. I'm past normal. I'm not stopping at normal. Usually, I had stopped at normal, but now I'm not stopping at normal. Now I'm going beyond normal, and I've gotten to a place here. Now, when I'm over here, I feel negative. I feel negative. I want to get back to euphoria. So right now I'm just feeling negative. I don't feel good. Before my normal was normal. Now my normal is to feel negative. So what do? I use my drug, whatever that drug is, to get me back all the way over to euphoria. That can go on for between 6 months and 5 years. You know, going back and forth from there to just that place where I just don't feel right. I need to go back. Just don't feel right. I find that drug. I'm beginning to get more and more addicted. One of the big things, and I may stop using for a minute, but one of the big things that happens to me right about here, this is negative right here. Already had them up there. One of the things that happens to me about right here is I get bored. Now, when I stop using, and one of the biggest reasons people relapse is what?
They ain't got nothing to do.
Boredom. Yeah, we get bored. And so, we get way back down here, and now I'm bored, and television ain't no good, movies aren't any good, sex is no good, doing this is no good, nothing is any good. I've reached that place of anhedonia, which means I cannot have fun anymore, so I'm not having a lot, so everything is boring to me. Unless I use drugs, unless I can get a couple of joints, unless I can get a blunt, something another, unless I can get a shot, unless I can snort something up my nose or something, and when I do, that's going to take me all the way back over here, back to euphoria. That's the only way I feel like everything is okay. Without it, nothing's okay. Nothing's good. Nothing feels good. Nothing nothing makes me happy. Nothing brings me joy. I can't do anything. So when I get to the place where when I run out of money, run out of drugs, run out of friends that have drugs, then I'm going to go back all the way down here, going deeper into the addiction stage, get way down here, and here's where I reach anhedonia. So what is anhedonia? Can't have any more pleasure. Our pleasure center is just like this. This is our activities. Right here is my pleasure center. And up here is anhedonia. That means no pleasure at all. The use of drugs tears up my brain, does all of these kinds of things, get me addicted to the point where my pleasure center goes up here and trades places with the anhedonia area. And so now I can't have fun at doing anything. Nothing is fun. Even the drugs, no fun. I'm not doing it to have fun. I'm not doing it to get high. You said get high. It's not why I'm doing it. I'm not doing the drug anymore to get high. I'm doing the drug now to get by. Because my life doesn't make sense without my drug in my system. So I go all the way. When I use it here, I can't have any fun anymore. It's not helping me anymore. It's not doing anything different anymore. It's not changing my reality anymore. But without it, my reality sucks anyway. So I use it and I go back over here. But when I get over to the place where I really should be experiencing some euphoria, I'm not anymore. I'm stopping somewhere like about right here, and I'm feeling a little bit disinterested in life and all of that kind of crazy mess. And the only thing I'm doing now is seeking the drug. So when I use from here, I come back to this place right here. That leads me to a place called dysphoria. So what is dysphoria? Let me get the scientific thing for it. What does dysphoria mean? Anybody got an idea?
It's the opposite of euphoria.
Yeah, that's exactly the opposite of euphoria.
Dysphoria, I guess, means like delusional.
Dysphoria. Dysphoria is a profound state of unease, dissatisfaction, or anxiety, often accompanying mental health conditions like depression, anxiety. Symptoms include sadness, irritability, cognitive difficulties, physical distress. It can be caused by factors such as trauma, chronic stress, significantly impacting our social life, withdrawal, and intense emotional distress and drug use. So this is euphoria. This is when I feel like everything is okay. What's the old country song? Everything is beautiful in its own way. So we over here everything's all right. So I use the drug to make me feel like everything's all right. But at some point the drug turns on me, and it gets me all the way back over here to a place of dysphoria. Two things about dysphoria: that guarantees that we're in that addictive state. We are now addicted, and dysphoria shows me that everything is not okay. Everything is bad. My life is crap. My life is, everything that I try to do is just not going to work, and all of that kind of stuff. And even my drug, which I don't have any choice but use because I've allowed myself to get addicted to it, doesn't help. Does changing to get a different type of drug, does that help? No, it doesn't. One of the funniest, it's not funny, one of the most tragic things I've ever heard is people coming into treatment so that they could get off the drug, so that they could get clean, so that they could chase that high. Get right. Their whole purpose is to get clean so that they can go back out and get a better high until, and at some point, people in that state, they're going to die from their addiction. So, questions, comments, or snide remarks? A lot of real good stuff back here today.
Only 1% of marriages of people that pray together daily.
There you go. Look at that. 1% of people that pray together get divorced. Yeah, they pray together daily, get divorced. So you got to wonder about what are those people praying about? Don't let him find out about that. That's not true.
They'll just say they're Christian, they actually
That's a fact. I mean, is that an actual fact?
What's that?
What he said, is that an actual fact?
What's that?
1% of people.
That's what he stated. He's pretty. I don't know. He's pretty honest feller. So I kind of feel like the only thing that he lie about is marijuana.
I'm not saying you can read that somewhere. It's a lot of times we can read something somewhere or somebody can tell us something. But that seems like an awful low number.
It is an awful low number, and I don't know that for a fact. I don't know because I haven't researched that, and I'm in recovery from lying, so I ain't gonna lie to you. So